Today's video may be a little bit different than other homemaking videos you normally see here on YouTube because today you're going to see some messy spaces. You're going to see some real life footage of a place where people really live and make messes. And we are going to not just be tidying, but muscling through some spaces in my home today. Just getting down and dirty in the homemaking business. I hope that you enjoy spending a little bit of time with me today. As a mother of 4 kids and just a family who lives here all the time, we could clean the space up one day and it looks beautiful, and then by the afternoon the next day it can look like a bomb went off with cushions all over and the baby has crushed a graham cracker into the rug. It's just, our home needs constant attention, and when we've been especially busy and that constant attention isn't being given, man, do things just get overwhelming quickly. And if you can relate with this concept, I felt like I needed to share with you that you're not alone and how I work through the overwhelm of homemaking. As the mother of the home, you really are the captain. I've also heard of people say the CEO of the home, and you set the tone. And so when you're overwhelmed, it can be so hard to put on a good attitude and to march forward, but you've got to find strength and pull up your big girl britches, make a list, rally the troops, and get things done. Maybe you've made systems for your home. Maybe you've made chore charts and lists for your family and responsibilities. It's one thing to make all of these organizations, and then it's another thing to stay on the bandwagon and to keep them moving forward. And when times get busy, that's when those systems really count. And so it's a good time to reflect and see what we need to do to get back on the bandwagon. And I found that really talking to my spouse about those things and having him be on my side and be on my team, leading that team together seems to help so much. So when Jared's there at the end of the day, asking the kids to, get on the cleaning off the table and doing the dishes, it just helps when we are both guiding and leading that team together. This week, I also took it really easy here in the kitchen. I like to make most everything from scratch, but when I am in this workforce mode, I try to take it easy on myself and not make too many messes in the kitchen. So for tonight, we are having grilled cheese sandwiches with tomato soup, and I usually make the tomato soup from crushed tomatoes, and I add some sauteed onions and garlic and some fresh basil and some milk or cream, and that makes for a delicious homemade tomato soup. The weather has been up and down here in Missouri, which I guess is the norm here. We've had some days that are 85 degrees while others were 55. When we had a windstorm come through and my kitchen window was open and it blew over my dried flower bouquet and broke my antique bubble glass vase. I was so sad to say goodbye to. In fact, I find that a lot of things are breaking lately, especially as Evelyn is getting older and she's more capable of getting into the china cabinet and taking plates and things off the table and throwing them on the floor. And so I'm just flowing with it because, well, you can always replace those things. So I cut these flowers down, put them in this cute pitcher, and we're moving forward this morning. Tonight we have a church activity to go to, and everyone's supposed to bring chili or cornbread, and so I thought I would quickly put together a chili in the Instapot, get that done first, and move on to some other projects that I had planned. And so I'm making this pumpkin chili that I've made with you guys before, and it's quick and easy. It's just kind of a dump it all into the Instapot type of a meal. Perfect when you have lots of things going on. And I am kind of doubling the recipe. I have probably 2.5 pounds of ground beef that I am starting out sauteing here in the Instapot. And then I'm going to add 2 chopped onions to that and about, well, 6 to 8 cloves of garlic as well. One thing I love about cooking with the Instapot, especially on busy days, is that it's all in one dish and I'm not dirtying a bunch of dishes. I love that it has the saute setting and everything. So that makes for quick work. A couple videos back, I shared with you guys a video of just really delicious soups for soup season. I'll make sure to post that video down in the description box below. I love soup season and making dishes that are all in one pot. So much easier, maybe serving it with a side of sourdough bread or something. It just feels easy, but also so comforting. I'm adding 2 teaspoons of salt, and the original recipe calls for 4 teaspoons of chili powder. So for this one, I'm going to add 8 teaspoons of chili powder since we're doubling. And then I'm adding 2 cans of pumpkin puree, 2 cans of diced tomatoes, and the original recipe didn't call for beans, but I thought it added so much more, so I'm adding 2 cans of kidney beans. It's a very thick chili, so if you need to add a little water, you can do that. I found that when the Instapot is going to pressure, it's easy for this to burn on the bottom, and so if it does do that, I just open up the lid and I give it a good stir and pour a little bit of water in there and set it to go to pressure again. I just set it to the bean or chili setting on here for 30 minutes. Cooking all this in the Instapot makes for a really easy cleanup, which means I can get on to all of the other chores that I need to get done today. And I'm hoping to get to the floors today. The floors need to be swept once a day, and honestly, that doesn't always happen. And so they need it very, very badly. And lately, I have been working around some broken tiles here in the kitchen, which I've really noticed is a theme in my home. If there's something that is malfunctioning, if it's broken or it's just harder to work with, then nobody really wants to deal with it. And it really creates a ripple effect. You could say a pothole just in the flow of how things work in the home. And so I've been really working on figuring out how we can get this floor replaced. It's not something that I'm totally wanting to do right now, right before the holiday season, especially with company that's going to be coming into town soon. But I see that this is something that certainly needs to get done. And so getting the floor really clean requires me to bring the vacuum in here and suck up between the broken tiles and the missing grout lines. And it made me think that maybe I should just get a vacuum for the kitchen in particular. So do any of you guys clean your kitchen floors with a vacuum, or do you always sweep? Let me know in the comments down below what you think works best for you in the kitchen and in the dining areas. Another place that always needs cleaning attention are the stairs, and since they are not carpeted, you definitely can see the dust bunnies and things pile up here on the stairs. I do love our wood stairs. I am in love with our wood stairs and the little copper corner pieces that are inlaid, and maybe someday we'll get around to refinishing these stairs. But for today, we are giving them a good vacuum and shine up. I picked up some wood cleaner. It's almond scented. It's the Method brand, and it smells so yummy. One thing that really incentivizes me is cleaning with products that smell good. And so if I pick up something that I really love to smell and it makes the house smell beautiful and feel good, then I am excited to clean with it. So going up the stairs, you could see how dark it is in the space up here, and it is just begging for some new lighting. Recently, I shared with you guys the space upstairs that we gave a good makeover to, and this is kind of the icing on the cake, is putting up some lighting in this room. And my sister-in-law helped me pick this piece out. It has LED lights in it, which I don't love the really stark, cold light that LED often brings. But these new light fixtures have settings that you can change. So it changes from cool to warm lighting. And it also comes with a fan that is clear. So it's not like I have this giant ceiling fan, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's classy and delicate looking, but still provides the benefits of having a fan, especially being a room that's at the top of. And that was just one thing that was on Jared's honey-do list. He is a busy man, but another thing that he got around to doing lately is making the kids a little basketball court in the forest. It's unconventional, but it works. It's humble with a little dirt floor, and they've been having tons of fun out there. So let me take you into the scariest place in my home right now, and that's right here in the laundry room, a place where people see it as they come into our house through this entrance, which is just horrifying, right? So the little shelf that was right under the window broke down. I had made a video a couple years ago of redoing this laundry room and reorganizing it. It acts as the laundry, the entryway, the mud room, and it holds a lot of essential pieces that make our family function. So we're going to have to repair this little shelf up here. I had put these brackets into the drywall. There's no studs under there, and of course that doesn't work. And so with that being broken, things have kind of just piled up here. So we're going to be doing some major organizing and repairing that shelf. There are seeds from the garden that I've gathered up here, and sunscreen and bug spray and paint and all sorts of things. So I picked up a bunch of these. I recently grabbed some containers from Home Goods the other day, and I wanted some smaller containers that I could put underneath the shelf and also be able to put on top of the shelf for all of the things that kind of clutter and gather in this one space, so that everything is going to have a container and a place to go. Things like all of the dog collars and leashes and doggy bags, paints and tools, sunscreen. So this is the system that we are going to create in here, and I hope and I pray that we can stick to this system, that everyone can put the things in the places that they're supposed to go. Because it's one thing to organize and create a system, and then for no one to know where the things go, right? I forget that if you haven't been with me through my whole story here on YouTube, I put this room together a couple years ago. I hand painted all the design on this wall, and I got all of these scrap pieces of wood that were sitting in the barn that had been taken out of our home when it had been renovated by the owners before us. And so all the trim you see around the window, all of the trim that's painted that sage green, and all these boards I'm working with were pieces of trim work that went into the house when it was renovated. And so I wanted to bring that all back in here and bring back all of that warm wood, because I just love it and it's beautiful, and I would rather have it in our home than rotting out in the barn. And then also I used some piping. I believe it's for electrical wiring piping. Maybe it's plumbing. I can't remember. I will have to put the video of how I renovated this whole space down in the description box, so you can see all of the details and all of the things that I did to make it work. But this is just piping that I had cut and used the hardware to hang it up. And then I used a drop cloth that I also picked up at Lowe's and made curtains to cover the laundry machines and also to put on this little shelf. And these baskets just fit so perfectly under there. I'm so happy. I also remember that I had some of these labels that I used to organize the kitchen with last year, and they just keep giving and giving. And so Maybe I can find the link for these as well. They are a chalk erase type of a label. They came with this little chalk pen. That means that you can wash off the marker if you want to change up the labels, which is kind of nice. And they just came with so many. So I've used them in the kitchen, on containers in the kitchen, and in the fridge for shelves in the fridge. And now I'm using them here in the laundry room. Myra was so excited about putting labels on these little baskets with everyone's names so that they would know where their hats and gloves go this year. I also keep all of my kitchen towels inside of this space because I don't have a drawer for those in the kitchen. And so that has just been bubbling over, and I decided I needed a bigger container for those and a separate little basket for just the washing microfiber cloths and such. Two things that are a fact is that Jared has way too many hats. Please don't tell him, but I did donate a couple that I haven't seen him wear for a very long time. I have been keeping a box of donations in the car that I keep adding to. And another thing is that we needed new laundry soap. I had bought some pods and have been using those to tie me over, and I'm just so not impressed with their cleaning capabilities. So we're going to whip up some homemade detergent. I like to use homemade detergent because I like to be able to control the scent, what goes in it, and also if I want to boost the cleaning capabilities, I feel like I can do that. I picked up a Zote bar recently, and I've shredded that here in my food processor. Usually I use a Castile bar of soap, but this Zote bar made like twice as much as one Castile bar. So that's cool. And then I put it back into the food processor, and I add a little bit of washing soda to it just to help with the chopping up process so it doesn't get caked up and get stuck in the food processor. So I'm cutting that all up into smaller pieces now, and then just kind of cycling it through a few times just to really break down that soap so it's really fine. And this recipe is really simple. It's just 2 cups of borax, 2 cups of washing soda, and actually 2 cups of baking soda, and a bar of washing soap. So we'll see how this Zote bar works. I feel like I've seen a Zote bar in my grandma's house a long time ago, but I know that it's for washing clothes. I also picked up some OxiClean, and I thought about adding that here into the detergent itself, but I was reading the instructions on the back, and it was a little bit more particular about adding it after the water has already gone through the cycle and such. So I decided to kind of keep that on the side and not adding that to our actual detergent. In the past, people have asked me if this can go into your high efficiency washing machine, and I just throw it in with the clothes instead of putting it through that little container where you add the soap normally, and everything seems to be fine. But of course, you are the captain of your home. It's up to you what you want to use. This is just how I do it. And I will be adding some OxiClean to those clothes that just have lots of grass stains and dirt and food. And since we have a baby and kids, that's practically almost every load. So I also added a little peg bar to this bench so that we could use it as a shoe rack. And that was part of the renovations I made a couple years ago. And it seems to be working fine. The only thing I have to do is just kind of work through here and take out the shoes that aren't being worn. shoes that kids have grown out of. Everyone is allowed to have 1 or 2 pairs of shoes in this space, and all the boots go up on the boot pegboard on the wall. And I guess Daddy is the only one who has an exception of how many shoes go in here. He has a few shoes that go in here, but whatever shoes the kids have grown out will go in the donation box that's out in the car, and church shoes and specialty shoes and stuff like that can all go into everyone's bedrooms, wherever they can keep their shoes. And then I'm also filtering through what's here on our coat rack. Right now it's more of like light jacket, sweater weather, and that's going to change as the colder weather sets in. But I just like keeping on the coat rack what is actually being used at the time. I usually have a bag of donations inside of the laundry room or the mudroom, but right now that box has quite a few things in it, so I just put it right into the car and I just keep adding to it. I also found this antique crock, and I've been using it as a little garbage can here in the corner for lint and such. And I finally picked up a rug for this space. I've had trouble adding a rug because the door always moves it. Okay, so I've got this room in working order. I've organized all the hats and gloves, at least for right now. I haven't brought in all of their winter gear yet. So when all of the winter snow pants, hats, gloves come in, I probably have to take some of these summer hat caps out and replace those. And the same thing with snow boots. You know, there's always things that I want to do still to the space. Like we have these hanging baskets. And we could use a few more of these, and in the summertime when we're picking produce in the garden and flowers, it's nice to have these just hanging around so we can grab them and go out. We don't use them as much in the winter time when the garden's not in order, but I would like to hang something along the ceiling, maybe have a beam with hooks on it or something that we can just hang these on. I don't know. I'll have to think more about that and how the whole basket thing will work. But I think we could definitely have something where we're hanging baskets, and maybe it's a rod, or I don't know, some sort of beam. If you have any good ideas, write down in the comments below. Give me some ideas of how I can hang these baskets from the ceiling. It would be nice if I could also maybe hang some linens and things, or blouses, things that need to hang to dry. Maybe it could be like a multi-purpose rod. The home is just always changing. There's always something to be done. I hope that you really enjoyed spending some time with me here today, just tending to the things that need to be done. There's just always something that needs to be done. And it's a labor of love, and it's hard work. So thanks for spending this time with me, and I will catch you in next week's video. Love you lots.